right, gang. The gate was 10.1 million tonight, 18,869 sold out. Fight of the night was Gaethje, Fiziev. Performance of the night tonight went to where is it? Yep. Okay. Ignacio and Ruffy. They all won 50 grand.
A tactical battle, we'll say, in the main event.
Yeah.
Crowned a new champion tonight, though. I guess, can you give us your initial thoughts on the main event tonight?
Yeah. It was, not what I expected. I expected a lot more shooting, expected a lot more exchanges. Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see Alex back here or not tonight, but we haven't seen him yet. Have you talked to him? Do you know if there was anything wrong with him?
Talk to who?
To Alex Pereira tonight?
No, I haven't seen him yet. He's coming? Yeah? Is he coming here? Huh? Maybe? Potentially.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound good. Potentially sounds bad.
Clearly, we don't matchmake on fight night, but a fight that close with a champion as great as Pereira has been, do you lean towards immediate rematch?
Probably.
Yeah. Co-main event, Justin Gaethje did Justin Gaethje things. Mm-hmm. Just give us your thoughts on him. And
great fight. Yeah. I mean, they won 50 grand for fight of the night. They stole it away from the first two kids of the night. They were looking like they were going to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was back here and said, look, I don't even know what makes sense, but he's like, I do want to fight for the title again at some point, before he's done. Do you feel like at this point in his career, he's still on a potential championship trajectory?
I mean, what's he ranked right now? 4th or something, right?
3rd.
Yeah, 3rd. There you go. He's still the number 3 ranked guy in the world. So the odds of him getting a title shot are pretty good.
Yeah. I haven't seen this. I saw a lot of people complaining on X Twitter tonight they couldn't buy the pay-per-view. Did that make it to you? Do you know?
Yeah, it made it to me. They were having problems buying it on ESPN Plus. I don't know what happened with their platform tonight, but yeah, there were a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah. Couple outside of tonight. Obviously, you're making big news in boxing. The announcement was finally made. What can you tell us? I'm just curious, like, what you see your ultimate position as, right? Like, the UFC right now is the dominant brand in mixed martial arts. Do you see being able to be the dominant brand in boxing, or is it more like we're a player in boxing along with the other entities out there?
It's a good question. I would say yes, that Sheikh Turkey and Saudi are the dominant players in boxing right now. And basically, I'm going to run and manage the business for them. This is not an easy business to be in. I mean, you guys have seen over the many years that I've been doing this, a lot of people have tried to get into this sport and into the fight business. The fight business is looks like a very fun business to be in until you actually start spending some money and getting in here and doing it. And I think that Sheikh Turkey and his crew found out quick that it's a lot tougher than it seems, and came to me and wanted to work out a deal where we run the business.
Nice. When do you teach him have we made that announcement yet? If we do, you'll know when we're ready. He seems to be leaping ahead and kind of revealing all of your news before you're ready.
Yeah. Listen, I'm trying to get him to pump the brakes a little bit, and we don't just lay it all out there. This whole press tour that we did on Monday was to announce the deal. But I'll tell you what's fascinating about him. He's a visionary when it comes to the sport, and he wants to do a lot of like one-of-one type events. And like the Sphere, one-of-one type events are very expensive. So we got a lot of work to do. And I didn't want to talk about a lot of the stuff that we're planning on doing because we have to build some infrastructure first and figure out, and we got to get a rights deal. We're out shopping a rights deal right now. Lot of work to do before we start announcing big things.
Nice. Last thing I wanted to ask you about with Power Slap, content distribution strategies are changing all the time right now, it seems. Why YouTube? Why is that where you picked to put it? And do you see that as a long-term solution for Power Slap?
Well, I don't know if it's changing. You just have, when you think about the world right now, you have all these different sports, not just in the United States, but all over the world, battling for content rights. And if you look at combat sports, even Sheikh Turkey, with the money that he has and the money that they've been spending in the sport of boxing, they don't have a big rights deal either. So sometimes you got to get creative. And as far as I'm concerned, it's more about eyeballs, and obviously money's important. You got to have money to to keep the thing rolling. But YouTube's incredible. 2.5 billion potential viewers every time you do something, and we were talking to a lot of different people. Linear television, we came from Rumble. Rumble ended up being like our Spike TV to launch it. They were really good to us, and this just seemed like the right move at the right time. What I don't like is once we start talking about doing deals, people start telling you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't advertise. The list goes on and on. And I like to run my own production, run my own show, and no better place to do that than YouTube.
Dana, going back to Alex tonight, there's been a little bit of talk about, he's everywhere around the world, right? He's flying to Sydney, he's doing all this stuff when he could be, maybe training at home. Do you feel like that maybe affected his performance and he looked flat tonight, or do you actually give it to Ankalaev for just putting the pressure on him and making him look flat?
That's a good question. I think that's a question definitely for him to answer. I definitely don't know his schedule. I know he's been bouncing around, but do you see this everywhere? When somebody becomes a big star and they start making lots of money, there are lots of different doors that open and opportunities. But there's no doubt everybody knew that Ankalaev was going to be a tough fight for him. Everybody knew that this was going to be probably the biggest challenge of his career. I wouldn't take anything away from Ankalaev and the pressure that he put on Alex tonight, and kept pushing forward. Even in the fifth round, I was listening on the headphones. Alex's corner was saying, "You got to go after him this round. You have to let everything go. You got to let your hands go. You got to try to take him out."
There was a lot of talk before this fight from kind of mainstream media that Alex John would be the fight to make. But do you think tonight shows that actually Alex is still pretty new in MMA and it's John Tom was always the fight, and that's the fight that you still want to make?
When you're trying to ask a guy, to move up 2 weight classes to heavyweight and take on the greatest of all time. I think we all agree with that in this room, right? There's still tough guys to fight in the light heavyweight division. I believe in moving up after you clean out divisions, and this division wasn't cleaned out yet.
Going back to is it TKO boxing? Is that the official name?
Well, that's the sort of, we're putting a pin in that one right now. But yeah, that's what I like and want, but we'll see.
Right. When you talk about the business of boxing, one of the biggest issues in it is that the guys who are in boxing can't get on and they never do deals, and it took Turkey to come along with money to basically make them work together, right? So in that respect, when you've come on to do this for Turkey, do you almost have to cut out these other guys because they're just going to make your job harder, right? If you're having to negotiate with every promoter in the sun, do you have to come out and eventually just get rid of these guys, lock them in Alcatraz, like Turkey said, and just do it yourself?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm more focused on, if you think about the UFC when we bought the company, we had 3 letters, the old octagon, and 12 contracts. We had to build the thing from the ground up. I think that the sport of boxing is so broken, it needs to be built from the ground up again. And that's what I'm going to focus on doing. He's got some commitments over the next 18 months with a lot of guys and a lot of fights and a lot of different promoters. But I talk a lot about USA's Tuesday night fights. They put on like the best up-and-coming fighters all fought on that show and then became big pay-per-view stars. That's what it's the same thing that happened with the UFC. We started on Spike TV, we built stars, and they became pay-per-view stars. I want to do the same thing with boxing.
So is there a world where you're on stage with De La Hoya and Bob Arum one day, all playing nice?
Let's hope not. I would never say never, but that is not what I plan to do.
Yeah. We backstage after the Sydney pay-per-view. We talked. There was a lot of young lightweights that won on that card. A lot of people making their debuts. There was 2 more today in Rufi and Ignacio that got the bonus. It just seems like there's this huge new wave of lightweights that are just kind of surging up at around the same time the top 15 seems at the tail end of their career. So just what do you make of this new rise of lightweights just around the world right now?
What do I make of it? I think it's great. What's your question? I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that the answer to it?
Sure. Jalen Turner said he's probably going to retire after this performance. He's only 29 years old. Have you had a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, he yelled it through the cage to me, and I said, yeah, all right. Well, I let the truck know that he was going to retire. And then I think somebody talked him out of retiring in the octagon tonight. I don't know if it was Bilal or who it was, but yeah, you know how I feel about that. Usually when you start, very rarely do I disagree with somebody when they feel like they want to retire.
You announced Robbie Lawler going into the Hall of Fame. It seems like that was obviously a no-brainer. Just what can you say about Robbie and why now is the time to induct him? Yeah,
I've had a great relationship with Robbie, pretty much his entire career and most of mine. I think I saw him fight in Hawaii years ago, and then, he was young, but I still wanted to sign him. And, to see what he's gone on and accomplished in his career and his life, it's awesome, and it couldn't happen to a better guy.
And last one for me, I'm sure you've heard this, but the Josh Van fight, it was the first time in UFC history 2 fighters born after 2000 fought each other in the UFC. So I'm curious, did you know that? And now you got millennials fighting.
I did not know that, yeah.
Dana right here. You talked about Gaethje and the potential title shot. How would you guys ultimately make the decision on who's next for Islam? Because you got Charles there, you got Arman there, and then obviously Ilia Topuria as well.
Yeah, well, you guys know there's a lot of different, factors that, play out when we start talking about who's fighting next. Injuries, timing of when they want to fight, when they don't want to fight, geographically where we end up. So there's a lot of different things that determine whether a guy fights for the title and when.
Yeah, and Ilia teased a massive announcement a few days ago. Is that fight related?
I don't know. That I don't know. Probably.
Okay. And you were talking about Tom and John. Tom released that video blog a few days ago on the train where he was saying like John's side is holding up the fight. What is he referring to there?
Well, I think that, listen, John Jones definitely wants to fight. Just when and where is what we're working on now.
Do you feel confidence? I think you said John.
I'm very
confident
confident
on first
that fight happens. Yeah.
Summer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dana, right? How did you have the main event scored?
What's the question?
How did you have the main event scored?
I don't know if I had the exact score in my head, but I thought Ankalaev won the fight.
Gotcha.
I wasn't like shocked when I heard the decision.
Gotcha. And talking about Rufi with that amazing knockout, you got him, John Silva, Carlos Prates. Like, do those guys on Tuesdays when you guys do matchmaking, like, you look at those names and be like, yeah, we got some fun fights coming up for those guys?
Yeah. I mean, we have a whole. We added this whole part of the board. I have all this stuff on the wall. I like it all on the wall. We have this whole thing that we just added to the wall with all the up-and-coming guys that we liked from the Contender or guys that come off, a night like tonight. And we keep them on the wall to keep them top of mind. And so, yeah, the answer is yes.
On the broadcast for UFC 314, Yair Rodriguez and Pitbull are now on the prelims. Is that just to get the most eyeballs on that fight because it's going to be probably...
We really don't determine that until we get closer. We start moving stuff around a couple weeks before the fight. So that's not definite.
Did you watch the Tank Davis boxing match?
Mm-mm. I didn't see it. I was somewhere. I don't remember where I was, but I've only been home it's like my 17th day since Christmas that I've been home. But I was somewhere. I don't remember where I was, but I didn't watch it, no.
Gotcha. And then finally, to talk about Turkey, want to do one-on-one events. What's your take on this New York Times Square boxing event that's going on with like Ryan Garcia.
I think it's incredible. I mean, to rent out Times Square and every billboard in Times Square, and it's insane. I think it's brilliant, and definitely one of those one of one type events.
Would you do that?
What's that?
Would you do that?
Would I do that? I did the Sphere. You don't see too many people jumping in to do the Sphere right now. I thought more people would try to do it after we did. Yeah. Thanks.
Dana, right
yeah.
here. Dana, I mean, you had the UFC pay-per-view headlined by your Fighter of the Year. You had Power Slap this week. You had the Fight Pass Invitational with Jiu-Jitsu. Now you've had this big boxing press tour. I mean, can you just, what is your week even like? How do you even manage running all of that just as a businessman?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I thought I was busy. I didn't realize what busy really was until the last couple of weeks. But yeah, we're gonna. I think I told you this to you guys before, but we're gonna invest like $10 to $12 million into jiu-jitsu over the next year. So we're gonna go big on that. We're obviously going big on boxing. We're gonna continue to do what we do with the UFC, and then switching Power Slap over to YouTube is I told you guys 2 years ago. Watch what happens to Power Slap in the next 2 years, and I'll say it to you again. Watch what happens to Power Slap in the next 2 years.
We see you so, obviously in attendance at everything. Obviously, you're the face and the front man for so much on top of running the business. At what point do you say, I got to find someone to pass a few of these things on to?
We're going to find out this year. This year is going to be we're going to find out this year. We'll see. We'll see how long I can run this hard. Come on, Gary Brecka.
Dana, off to your right here, mate. You guys recently signed a landmark deal with Monster Energy. The claw or the can is going to be in the center of the octagon for 5 years. I'm sure there was a ton of brands that were wanting that. It's literally the most coveted spot, I guess, in the octagon. So I'm guessing that a decision like that means a little bit more than just money. What are some of the intangibles that a brand like that brings, and what actually goes into a decision like that from your end?
The relationship. We've been in business with them for a long time. They've been good to us on a lot of different fronts. They've been a really good partner. I think I told you guys after COVID, it's not about money anymore. I want to be in business with people that I'm aligned with and that I have good relationships with. And you don't know who anybody is until the shit hits the fan. And when the shit hit the fan, I found out who was who and what was what. And as we enter into new deals, I'm only going to be in business with guys that I'm really aligned with, especially sponsorship.
And just, it's kind of a follow-up, but Fight Pass Invitational this week in Vegas was unreal. Andy Murasaki made his debut under like the UFC organization. Nicky Rod, Victor Hugo is probably like the biggest match that you can make that's not a Gordon Ryan heavyweight match. Do you guys have any real concrete plans? Because it seems like it's naturally ramping up. And could we see like a Alex Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev fight in grappling, or like just Hamzat versus anyone? Like there's some crazy matchups in grappling that you guys could make that would honestly send that sport through the moon.
The answer is yes. If those big fights are available that we could make, we would definitely do it. But I think you're going to see more of the jiu-jitsu guys, the big stars in jiu-jitsu, before you see UFC fighters.
Over here. Going back to the boxing, Canelo had some good words regarding you and TKO's jump into boxing, saying that he believes it's great for the fighters and great for the sport in general. What's it like hearing that from what many people consider the face of boxing, and for you, a potential partner one day?
Obviously, to hear that some of the biggest stars are excited that we're getting into the sport is obviously a good thing. Definitely not a bad thing. But like I said, and I'll say it again, we got a lot of work to do over the next couple weeks. I got a big boxing meeting on Wednesday, so we'll get a lot of. And not to mention the fact that I've talked a lot of shit about boxing for the last 25 years. So I got some shit to do. I gotta get to work and figure out not just the infrastructure. I'm gonna work out on Wednesday who we're gonna hire, who we're gonna bring in, start building a team like we have with the UFC over the last 25 years, and now I got to do that for boxing. I already got the office space over there, and time to start filling it.
I was going to ask, how do some of those conversations with those boxing people look like nowadays, just kind of given the history you've had with the sport?
What's the question?
I said, how do those conversations look like with people from the boxing industry now that you're in it, just kind of given the history of what you've said about the sport before?
As far as the boxing, you mean the other promoters?
Yeah, just
I mean, it's the same as it's going to be the same as it's always been. There's guys that I like and guys that I don't like. I would imagine that I will continue to like the guys that I like and continue to dislike the guys that I don't like. So I'm sure none of that's going to change.
Awesome.
It'll probably get worse, if anything.
Last one for me, the fighting nerds were brought up, obviously, with Rufy's amazing performance tonight. Jean Silva and Carlos Prates received a loud pop at the press conference this week. What can you say about the rise of their gym in general this past year, and do you think these guys are the potential next superstars in their respective weight classes?
The fighting nerds have been brought up.
Yeah,
Carlos
okay.
Prates, John Silva, they're really getting a lot of pop during.
They were trending tonight on. We follow all the trends that happen on social media, and they were trending tonight. They were one of the big trends on social.
How do you feel about that gym having such a rise so quickly?
Yeah, listen, I love it. Anytime a gym or a specific group, a team, whatever you want to call it, or a fighter starts to, people start to take interest and become excited about them, it's exciting for all of us. Love it.
Dana, back here.
Yeah.
How do you sum up what we saw out of Alex's title reign over the last year, what he was able to accomplish in comparison to the other great light heavyweight runs that you've seen?
Yeah, I think that the story of him and Israel Adesanya is incredibly fascinating. These guys that come from kickboxing and were able to come to the UFC and dominate the way that they have, and the story between them. It's fascinating. It's like it's nothing I've ever seen before in the sport. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, thanks.
Back here, Dana.
Yep.
Way
Hi.
over here.
Hi.
Hey. So Power Slap at Fontainebleau seems to be exploding out of that room. It's a nice venue. I know you like the venue, but could you see it moving to someplace outside of Fontainebleau, given the fact that it was very, very full this
Yeah, we're getting it sanctioned everywhere, so we will start to travel around. We just did one in Saudi, which the one in Saudi did so well that we ended up signing a deal the next day for 4 more this year and 2 more next year. So, yeah, it works really well at Fontainebleau. I guarantee you when they were building that place, they were never thinking, we'll have great power slap events over here. But, yeah, we love the facility. We love the room. The after party's fun, too. And yes, the answer is yes. We're going to start traveling this around as the sanctioning continues. Though we got We got California. We got Texas. What else? Where's Hunter? What else we got? Florida, Jersey, Oklahoma. Yeah, the Oklahoma Commission was there last night at that event. 5 more pending. So.
It's moving. Just one more for me. You had said this week and many times that fighting is in our DNA. If there's a basketball game and a fight going on, people are going to go and watch the fight. What is the DNA of the type of fighter that you're looking for the new boxing league? Because there's a lot of fighters in the world, but there's got to be is there a specific DNA that you're looking for in terms of guys that you are willing to sign right now?
Well, just like any combat sport, you're looking for the most exciting and most talented up-and-coming fighters. That's what I'm going to be looking for when we launch this new promotion, I guess you'd call it. And like I said, we got to secure a rights deal with somebody, and then I want to match make like we do here. The best possible fights from the first fight of the night up till the main event, create stars and continue to put on, fights with the best fight the best. And like I always tell you guys, I sell holy shit moments for a living. That's what I do. So when you watch a boxing match on a Saturday night, hopefully we'll get 3 or 4 holy shit moments, and you're not upset that you stayed home and you watched our product.
I have two. With TKO and UFC and even WWE under the same corporate umbrella, do you see creating like Super Bowl weekend type things, especially maybe in Vegas at some point, where you just have a whole combat sports week?
I don't know. I am a big believer in what I've learned over the last 25 years of doing this is that when you have big events on the same night and people have already made the commitment to stay home and watch, they'll watch both. Like tonight, even in the back room before I came out, the Celtics played the Lakers. I was watching the Celtics-Lakers game and our fights, and I had them on the TV out there beside the octagon. So
I was thinking more if you do like a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, all in Vegas, like 3 different events.
Yeah, I mean, we're already doing that in some cities already. But yeah, I mean, you could see us doing UFC and boxing the same night. And yes, obviously, Slap goes Friday and WWE could go Sunday. And yeah, the answer is yes. We're definitely going to do that.
And the other one was Kash Patel was here tonight. I know he made some news saying there could be a deal between you guys and the FBI at some point. I guess, has there been any further discussions and where you are on that? What might that look like?
Well, after he said that, my phone blew up. Everybody wants to be the trainers to the FBI now. So I got everybody hit. But he's dead serious about that. I talked to him about it tonight. Yeah, he's dead serious. So we'll see. We'll see how that starts to come together. You good? Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.